Do you understand? It's metaphorical. My example, it's a metaphor.
It's rare we see a film that creates a specific atmosphere, tonally, visually, and stylistically. We saw this in Stanley Kubrick's work, and now we can see something similar with Yorgos Lanthimos. His filmography is unconventional to say the least, and with The Killing of a Sacred Deer, the Greek filmmaker brings his European sensibilities to an inherently American setting, full of the dryness and bizarre personality he's well known for. The characters are all twisted in some way, and yet their coldness are fascinating to see exist in this little, dreamlike world that feels like it takes place on another planet. The Killing of a Sacred Deer pushes his filmography to another level of unsettling. The offbeat story, combined with the trademark deadpan deliveries, are the perfect blend of satire and macabre, placing the tragedy of its source material into a seemingly well-adjusted family. The main figure of doom is Martin, whose father died on the operating table under Stephen's knife. Martin then simply infiltrates and dissipates the entire family, by forcibly making Stephen kill one of his family members to bring balance to the act of killing his father. Failing to do so will...
I can't tell you who to kill, of course, that's for you to decide, but if you don't do it, they will all get sick and die. Bob will die, Kim will die, your wife will die. They will all get sick and die. One person.
Stephen is so eager to be Martin's father figure to feel some of the guilt being lost. It's a shameful attempt, as Stephen sees it as a transaction, a compensation for Martin's loss, without putting in an ounce of sentiment. The film feels mechanical. The audience is shown exactly what they need, and is pushed through the narrative with tracking shots, dollies, and zooms.
This time around, I just had this feel that the camera should be almost like another presence, like an entity that followed all these people and, you know, was hovering above them or creeping from below and always be there, watching them, observing them. So with that as a start, we built this visual language of, you know, really high angles following people around or really low angles. Generally, there's no, you know, there's not many shots that are at the eye level of the actors.
Lanthimos using the camera as an all-seeing eye makes the audience a higher power, as if we are passing judgment over these inferior beings we perceive as characters. The camera constantly hones in on every member of the family in a grand house that perfectly paints their status quo, but it doesn't really show a united front. The visual language emphasizes this, pushing the characters off-center and inspecting them from wide shots to strip away any humanity they still have left. Elements of the script possess a fable-like quality. The fascination over Stephen's hands holds weight when thinking about his position in society. He's a doctor, someone who plays with lives, someone who's seen as all-knowing and flawless, almost godlike. The power they hold seems practical, but they literally control life and death. This can be seen in the first shot of the film. The control heart surgeons have, regardless of the patient's morals, is a profound way to start a tale of justice and redemption. There's tragic irony when Stephen says,
"Had you been drinking when you operated on his father?"
Only a little. That had nothing to do with the outcome. A surgeon never kills a patient. An anesthesiologist can kill a patient, but a surgeon never can.
It's a known secret that many failed operations are caused by human errors, but the doctors are never held responsible. Should someone as negligent and morally repressed as Stephen even operate on a patient? The title of the film lends itself to the story of IPHIGENIA in Greek mythology. The story follows Agamemnon and his men who are stranded on an island because the goddess Artemis stopped the winds the group needed to set sail for Troy. In order for the efforts to continue, Agamemnon must sacrifice his daughter, IPHIGENIA, to atone for the accidental killing of the goddess's sacred deer. Agamemnon then has a quandary for the rest of the story, struggling with the decision to kill his daughter in order to proceed with the Trojan War. It's this framework that the film takes inspiration from, and Lanthimos places it within the societal confines of suburban America. When viewing the film through this lens, we see who really plays the dominant role. Stephen, the prestigious doctor, succumbs to the sorcery of Martin, in an attempt to avenge the killing of his sacred deer, his father. The effects of the anger-fueled sorcery quickly becomes horrifying. The situation becomes an archaic interpretation of blackmail, where blood is exchanged instead of money.
Dad! Quick, Bob's dying!
Bloody eyes, paralysis, and dividing the so-called perfect nuclear family into pieces. The same way Agamemnon was pushed towards the notion of sacrifice to appease societal pressure, Stephen is forced down a spiral of introspection and judgment to carry out an act where the outcome appeases the morals we all, as humans, set in stone for society to follow. The tragedy hits us full force right at the end, where Stephen kills his son while blindfolded, in effect to randomize the death. The saying "justice is blind," alluding to the Greek statue of Lady Justice, is a perfect yet disturbing note to end the film on. It's the only way Stephen can get out of this situation, but the choice of killing a family member is a harsh cost in the name of justice. It's the binding of myths and present day that perfectly illustrate the influence tragedies and legends have on shaping our culture. Stories of old had characters do unspeakable things to satisfy the higher power, and the lessons learnt from these events get passed down, so that we can live and learn to create a community that follow these righteous ideals. In modern times, the higher powers are the forces of morality, a strong norm in our society. They dictate how we live, and Stephen's caught on the wrong end, while Martin drifts in and out the family's lives as a physical reminder of justice coming to see what's right. But does the pleasure in seeking vengeance outweigh the carnage brought onto an upper-class family? The dynamics of these characters also work on a macro level. His homely mansion, his profession, the obsession of watches all spin the tale of the so-called success of the American dream. But what lies beneath? What's America guilty of? Selfishness and materialism? Is the nation even aware of the crimes it's committing like Stephen did? The idea of facing punishment you don't want to admit you deserve is at the crux of this film. A deceivingly simple dilemma that Lanthimos drapes in twisted horror and ancient mythos. The mistake of a father that plunges a whole family into terror is something that's mesmerizing as watching a Haneke or Kubrick film, in a similar sense that these filmmakers just love to torture the characters until they're completely broken. The Killing of a Sacred Deer is a film that challenges the audience while having a distinct visual literacy that give it an ominous aura. Feelings of guilt play into the fears of people in our society, and the film sums up this concept in a taut, well-defined parable.
I don't know if what is happening is fair, but it's the only thing I can think of that's close to justice.
This is Cineframes. Thank you for watching.